Did you know there's a country where people eat better on the street than in five-star restaurants? And no, I'm not exaggerating. Imagine waking up to the smell of steaming broth wafting through your window, stepping outside, and finding an explosion of flavors that cost less than a coffee in America. I'm talking about Vietnam, where street food isn't just food. It's an ancestral experience that spans generations. If you stay until the end of this video, you'll discover dishes so incredible they'll make you want to buy a ticket right now. By the way, if you love trivia about exotic cultures and foods from all over the world, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications because here you'll travel without leaving home. And don't forget to like this video because it took hours of research to bring you the best of Vietnam. Believe me, it's worth every second of your time because what's coming next will blow your mind. Today, I'm going to take you through the streets of Hanoi, Saigon, and other hidden corners of Vietnam. Together, we'll discover 12 of the most popular and surprising street foods in this fascinating country. Get ready, because with the very first dish, you'll understand why Vietnamese cuisine is considered one of the most balanced and healthy on the planet, yet addictive and full of flavor. So grab your little plastic chair, one of those really low ones that Vietnamese people use on the sidewalk, and come with me on this gastronomic journey. I guarantee that after this video, you'll never look at street food the same way again. Let's start with the most iconic dish of all, Pho, the soul of Vietnam in a bowl. Pho is much more than just a simple noodle soup. It's the beating heart of Vietnamese culture. Imagine waking up at 5 in the morning and finding hundreds of people already sitting on stools on the sidewalk, bent over steaming bowls of this magical broth. Pho originated in northern Vietnam in the early 20th century, and today is served on literally every street corner in the country, from dawn till dawn. The base of pho is a broth that takes hours to prepare, usually made with roasted beef bones that release a deep and comforting flavor. Pho masters add star anise, cinnamon, burnt ginger, and other secret spices that give the broth its unmistakable aroma. It is this artisanal care that transforms a simple dish into something almost spiritual, an experience that warms not only the body but also the soul. Inside the bowl goes thin rice noodles called ban pho, generous slices of beef that can be raw or cooked. The raw meat is placed on top and cooks in the heat of the broth right in front of you. It's mouth-watering just thinking about it, but the real spectacle begins when the side dishes arrive. A plate overflowing with fresh herbs, bean sprouts, lemon, chili, and hoisin sauce. The right way to eat pho is by customizing your bowl to your liking, adding whatever herbs you like, a squeeze of lime, and some hot chili. The Vietnamese take this so seriously that they passionately debate which is the best pho stall in town, each defending their favorite vendor like it was a football team. And the price? Less than $2 for a complete meal that will keep you satisfied for hours. Banh mi, the sandwich that conquered the world. If there's one dish that perfectly represents Vietnam's cultural fusion, it's the banh mi. Born during the French colonial period, this sandwich took the best of the French baguette and filled it with 100% Vietnamese ingredients. The result is an explosion of textures and flavors that has made banh mi a worldwide sensation, appearing on cooking shows and becoming a coveted item for renowned chefs. The magic begins with the bread, a Vietnamese baguette that is lighter and crispier than the original French one, with a crunchy crust and a soft, airy crumb. This bread is baked several times a day in wood-fired ovens scattered throughout the streets, and the smell of fresh bread is one of the most common aromas on Vietnamese mornings. When you bite into a well-made banh mi, the crust cracks, making that satisfying sound that everyone loves. The traditional filling is a feast of contrasts. Creamy liver pate, slices of Vietnamese cold cuts like cha lua, thinly sliced cucumber, carrots, and sweet and sour pickled daikon. Add fresh cilantro, chili peppers, mayonnaise, and soy sauce, and you have layers of flavor that range from sweet to savory, from creamy to crunchy. Each bite is a different experience, and it's impossible to eat just one. On the streets of Vietnam, banh mi vendors are true artists of sandwich making, preparing dozens of sandwiches simultaneously with impressive speed and precision. They know their regular customers by heart and already know exactly how much chili each one likes. For less than $1.50, you get a sandwich stuffed to overflowing, wrapped in paper and ready to be devoured while you stroll through the vibrant streets. Bun cha, the barbecue that Obama approved. Bun cha gained international fame when former President Barack Obama sat at a humble stall in Hanoi alongside Chef Anthony Bourdain to sample this iconic dish. The scene went viral and transformed that stall into a tourist pilgrimage site, but bun cha was already beloved by Vietnamese people long before any celebrity discovered it. It's a favorite lunch for Hanoi residents, especially popular on Fridays when families gather to eat together. The dish consists of pork meatballs, grilled over charcoal, and slices of marinated pork belly, all served in a sweet and sour sauce made with nuoc cham. This sauce is the unsung star of Vietnamese cuisine, a balanced blend of fish sauce, vinegar, sugar, garlic, and chili that enhances any ingredient. The meatballs are charred on the outside but succulent on the inside, absorbing that unmistakable smoky flavor of the charcoal. Bun cha comes with cold rice noodles, a mountain of fresh herbs, and crunchy vegetables that you dip into the sauce along with the meat. It's a completely interactive dish where you assemble each bite however you like, creating different combinations with every bite. The smoke rising from the charcoal grills, the smell of caramelizing meat, and the sounds of lively conversations create a unique atmosphere. Bun cha stalls are easily recognizable by the characteristic smoke rising from the charcoal grills on the sidewalk. The cooks work by constantly fanning the charcoal to maintain the perfect temperature, a job that demands skill and impeccable timing. Watching a bun cha master at work is like witnessing a choreographed dance where every movement has a purpose, transforming simple ingredients into something extraordinary. Goi quan, refreshing summer rolls. In a tropical country like Vietnam, where the heat can be intense, goi quan are the perfect answer for a light and refreshing meal. Known in the West as fresh spring rolls, to differentiate them from the fried versions, these rolls are wrapped in clear rice paper and filled with fresh ingredients. They represent the Vietnamese philosophy of balance, combining proteins, vegetables, and herbs in perfect proportions that are both nutritious and delicious. Making goi quan is almost a meditative art. The rice paper is quickly dipped in warm water until it becomes pliable and sticky. Rice noodles, cooked shrimp or pork, crisp lettuce, mint, grated carrot, and the secret ingredient that makes all the difference, Vietnamese herbs, are then arranged on top. The roll is tightly wrapped, and through the translucent paper, you can see all the vibrant colors of the ingredients as if it were an edible stained glass window. The accompanying sauce is just as important as the spring roll itself, usually made with peanut butter or hoisin sauce mixed with garlic, chili, and a touch of lime juice. Each bite combines the silky texture of the rice paper with the crunch of the vegetables and the tenderness of the protein, all bound together by the rich and creamy sauce. It's impossible to eat just one because they are surprisingly light and refreshing, perfect for warm weather. On Vietnamese streets, you'll find vendors sitting with trays overflowing with ready-made goi quan, each one perfectly hand-rolled. Many families also make spring rolls at home during gatherings, turning the preparation into a social activity where everyone participates. It's common to see groups of friends rolling their own spring rolls while chatting and laughing, because in Vietnam, food is never just a casual thing. It's not just about satisfying hunger, it's about connection and community. Cao Lau, the exclusive noodles of Hoi An Cao Lao, is one of Vietnam's most mysterious and unique dishes because, according to tradition, it can only be authentically made in the city of Hoi An. Legend says that the noodles must be prepared with water from a specific well called Ba Lay, located in the center of the old city, and this special water gives the noodles their unique and inimitable texture. This geographical exclusivity has transformed Cao Lao into a culinary treasure that attracts travelers from all over the world to this small coastal city. Cao Lao noodles are thick, yellowish, and have a chewy texture unlike any other Vietnamese noodle. They are made with ash from local plants that alkalize the dough, creating that elastic and slightly smoky consistency that is the dish's trademark. On top of the noodles are slices of five-spice roasted pork, crispy crackling that snaps in your teeth, fresh vegetables, and aromatic herbs that perfume every bite. The broth in khao lao is served in a moderate amount, just enough to moisten the noodles without soaking them, creating a consistency somewhere between soup and dry noodles. This perfect balance allows you to taste all the textures at once: the chewy noodles, the tender meat, the crispy pork rinds, and the fresh herbs. It's a symphony of textures that dances in your mouth with every bite, showing why Vietnamese cuisine is considered one of the most sophisticated in Asia. Eating khao lao in Hoi An is an almost ritualistic experience, especially at the street stalls near the Central Market where the same families have been preparing the dish for generations. The khao lao masters protect their recipes like state secrets, and each stall has its own special touch that loyal customers swear is the best. Sitting at one of these stalls at dusk, with the colorful lanterns of Hoi An beginning to illuminate, while you savor this unique dish, is one of those moments that will be forever etched in your memory. Ban Xio, the Vietnamese pancake that sings Bon Zio, has a poetic name meaning sizzling pancake, a reference to the sibilant sound the batter makes when poured into a hot, oiled pan. This sound is music to the ears of the Vietnamese and a sign that a crispy delight is on its way. Originating in southern Vietnam, this vibrant yellow pancake, colored with saffron, is one of the most theatrical and fun street food dishes to eat. The batter is made with rice flour, coconut milk, and saffron, creating an intense golden color that looks more like a giant French omelet. But unlike an omelet, Bon Zio is thin and incredibly crispy at the edges, almost crumbly, while the filling remains moist and flavorful. The traditional filling includes succulent shrimp, slices of pork belly, crisp bean sprouts, and green onions, all cooking together in the pan until they create a perfect harmony of flavors. The way Bon Zio is eaten is an experience in itself. You cut pieces of the pancake, wrap them in fresh lettuce leaves along with aromatic herbs like mint and Thai basil, creating small packets. These packets are then dipped in nuoc cham sauce, that addictive combination of fish sauce, lime, sugar, and chili that enhances every bite. It's a completely interactive meal where your hands are your best utensils. Watching a Ban Zio vendor at work is a display of impressive skill and speed. They keep multiple pans working simultaneously, pouring the batter in quick circular motions to create perfectly round and uniform pancakes. The pan needs to be at the exact temperature, neither too hot nor too cold, and the cooking time needs to be perfect to ensure that iconic crispness that makes Ban Zio so addictive. Bun Bo Hu, the spicy soup of the emperors. If pho is the dish of the people, Bun Bo Hu is the soup of royalty, originating from the ancient imperial city of Hue in central Vietnam. This dish is bolder, spicier, and more complex than its famous cousin, reflecting the sophistication of the imperial court that ruled Vietnam for centuries. Bun Bo Hue isn't afraid of intense flavors, and is definitely not for the faint of heart who fear a bit of heat. Bun Bo Hu broth is deeply aromatic, made with beef bones and pork shanks simmered for hours with lemongrass, which gives it that characteristic citrusy touch. What truly sets this broth apart is the addition of fermented shrimp paste and red chili oil that floats to the surface, creating that vibrant orange hue and that spicy warmth that warms you from the stomach to the soul. It's a broth that speaks volumes and makes no apologies for its intensity. The noodles used are thicker than those for pho, round and substantial, capable of holding all that rich and spicy broth. The filling is generous and varied: slices of gelatinous pork shank, blood dumplings that may frighten the uninitiated but are incredibly tasty, tender beef, and sometimes even pig's trotters. Each ingredient adds a different texture, transforming each spoonful into a gastronomic adventure. Bun Bo Hu stalls are known for their enormous pots of constantly simmering broth and the unmistakable aroma of lemongrass and spices that perfumes the air. The vendors are masters at balancing the flavors, adjusting the spiciness and freshness of the herbs for each customer. This is a dish that demands respect and patience to appreciate, but once you develop a taste for it, No other soup can satisfy you in the same way. Chi, sweet desserts in a glass. Che is the generic name for an entire category of Vietnamese desserts served in cups or bowls, and there are literally hundreds of different variations spread throughout the country. These desserts are the perfect answer to Vietnam's tropical heat, usually served chilled or with crushed ice, offering a sweet and refreshing relief. Each region has its favorite versions, and Vietnamese people passionately debate which type of che is the best. The base of che may include surprising ingredients for Western palates: mung beans cooked until creamy, tapioca pearls in colorful shapes, cubed agar-agar jelly, purple yam, sweet corn, and even durian for the more adventurous. Everything is bathed in sweetened coconut milk or sweet syrup, creating layers of textures that range from chewy to creamy, from crunchy to silky. It's as if each spoonful is a different surprise waiting to be discovered. Che Ba Mao, or three-color dessert, is perhaps the most photogenic and popular version among tourists, with its vibrant layers of red, yellow, and green creating an edible rainbow. But locals also love variations like Che Bap, made with sweet corn and coconut milk, or Che Choy, which combines caramelized banana with tapioca in a comforting blend. Each type has its perfect occasion, whether for a refreshing midday treat or as a light dessert after a hearty meal. Che's carts are visual spectacles on Vietnamese streets, displaying dozens of transparent jars filled with colorful ingredients arranged like an artist's palette. The vendors assemble each portion on the spot, taking a little from here and a little from there with the skill of those who know the perfect combinations. For less than $1, you get a cup full of icy happiness that is at the same time dessert, snack, and cultural experience all in one spoonful. With tam, the broken rice of the workers, com tam, which literally means broken rice, originated as a meal for the poor and is now one of the most popular dishes throughout Vietnam. Broken rice grains were considered waste during the milling process and were sold at very low prices to poor workers and families. But these creative Vietnamese transformed this despised ingredient into a dish so delicious that today it is proudly served in upscale restaurants and street stalls alike. Broken rice has a unique texture, softer and stickier than regular rice, absorbing sauces and flavors exceptionally well. It served as a base for a feast of side dishes: grilled pork ribs marinated in caramelized sauce, Vietnamese egg cake called cha, crispy pork rinds, sliced cucumber, and pickled carrots. Everything is generously drizzled with nuoc cham and scallion oil, leaving each grain of rice shiny and fragrant. The true charm of com tam lies in its pork ribs, marinated overnight in a secret blend of fish sauce, sugar, garlic, and 5 spices before being grilled over charcoal. The meat is caramelized on the outside, with those charred marks that everyone loves, but remains juicy and tender on the inside. When you combine this meat with the rice and all the side dishes, each bite is an explosion of sweet, salty, sour, and umami flavors in perfect harmony. Com Tam's stalls are particularly busy during breakfast and lunch, serving hundreds of workers who need a substantial and affordable meal. The ritual is always the same. You choose your preferred sides, the vendor assembles your plate in seconds with military precision, and you devour everything sitting in a plastic chair on the sidewalk. It's Vietnamese comfort food at its best, proving that the best dishes often come from the humblest origins. Nem Nuong, irresistible pork skewers. Nem Nuong are skewers of seasoned ground pork that are grilled over charcoal until charred and filled with that unmistakable smoky aroma. Originating in central Vietnam, these skewers have conquered the entire country and are now found on every corner, especially popular as an afternoon snack or light dinner. The aroma of them grilling is enough to stop anyone in their tracks. It's simply impossible to resist. The pork is mixed with garlic, sugar, fish sauce, and a secret blend of spices before being shaped into cylinders around bamboo or metal skewers. The secret lies in the fat ratio, which needs to be just enough to keep the meat juicy but not so much that it drips excessively onto the coals. When grilled to the perfect temperature, the skewers develop a caramelized crust on the outside while the inside remains moist and bursting with flavor. The most popular way to eat nem nuong is wrapped in rice paper, along with rice noodles, lettuce, cucumber, thinly sliced green star fruit, and that full arsenal of Vietnamese herbs. You assemble your own roll, dip it in peanut sauce or nuoc cham, and experience that addictive combination of textures: the silky rice paper, the succulent smoked meat, the crunch of the vegetables, and the creaminess of the sauce. It's an interactive meal that transforms eating into a social experience. Nem Nuong masters spend hours fanning the charcoal and constantly turning the skewers to ensure they cook evenly without burning. They develop a sixth sense for the exact doneness of each skewer, knowing by smell and appearance when it's perfect. Many stalls have huge lines of customers waiting patiently because everyone knows that well-made nem nuong is worth every second of the wait, and each stall jealously guards its special techniques and recipes. Ban Quan. Steamed rice crepes. Ban Quan is one of the most delicate and technical dishes in Vietnamese street food, requiring skill and practice to execute perfectly. They are ultra-thin crepes made from rice flour, so thin they are almost translucent, steamed over a cloth stretched over a pan of boiling water. Watching a master make ban quan is mesmerizing. They spread the batter in circular motions over the cloth, wait a few seconds while the steam works its magic, and then delicately peel the crepe with a bamboo stick. The traditional filling consists of finely chopped wood ear mushrooms and seasoned ground pork, but some ban quan are served completely plain, without any filling. The crepes are loosely rolled and stacked on plates like small, shiny, tempting packages. They have a silky, slippery texture that literally melts in your mouth, being both light as air and incredibly satisfying. The essential accompaniment to ban quan is crispy fried scallions generously sprinkled on top, adding that necessary textural contrast. It's always served alongside nuoc cham for dipping, sliced cha lua, and fresh herbs that you add to your liking. Each bite combines the smoothness of the crepe, the crunchiness of the scallions, the umami flavor of the filling, and the refreshing acidity of the sauce in a perfectly choreographed dance of flavors. Stalls specializing in ban quan typically operate only in the morning because the process is laborious and the dish is best consumed fresh. Entire families wake up early to secure their portion before it runs out, because old ban quan loses all its magic. It's a dish that demands dedication from both the maker and the eater, but this dedication is rewarded with one of the most refined culinary experiences that Vietnamese street food has to offer. Caphe Sua Da, the iced coffee that's addictive. To conclude this gastronomic journey without mentioning Caphe Sua Da would be a crime, because this drink is the fuel that drives the entire country of Vietnam. This iced coffee with condensed milk is not just a drink, it's a cultural institution, a sacred daily ritual for millions of Vietnamese. Vietnam is the second largest coffee producer in the world, and they take their coffee as seriously as they take their street food. Vietnamese coffee is traditionally made with Robusta beans, which have more caffeine and a stronger, more bitter flavor than the Arabica beans popular in the West. It is brewed slowly in an individual metal filter called a fin, which sits balanced on the cup while the coffee drips drop by drop, creating a dark and intense concentrate. This slow process is intentional, forcing you to slow down and appreciate the moment, contrasting with the fast-paced coffee culture of the West. At the bottom of the glass, a generous layer of sweetened condensed milk awaits. Because in Vietnam, fresh milk was scarce and condensed milk became the standard. When you mix the strong, bitter coffee with the sweet, creamy milk and add crushed ice to the rim, the result is an addictive drink that is both energizing and comforting. The contrast between the bitter coffee and the sweet milk is so perfect, it seems to have been designed by a coffee god. Vietnamese street cafes are temples of coffee culture, where people of all ages sit on low chairs for hours, savoring their café sua da while watching life go by. There's no rush, no pressure to free up the table, just the simple pleasure of a good coffee in good company. It's the perfect way to end any tour of Vietnamese street food, sitting on the sidewalk with a iced coffee in hand, digesting all the wonders you've just experienced. The culture behind Vietnamese street food. Now that you've discovered these incredible dishes, you need to understand what truly makes Vietnamese street food so special and unique. It's not just about the explosive flavors or the affordable prices. There's a whole cultural philosophy behind every steaming bowl and every grilled skewer. Vietnam has a relationship with street food that goes far beyond simply eating. It's about community, tradition, and national identity. On the streets of Vietnam, eating is not a solitary act done hastily between appointments. It's a social ritual where families, friends, and even strangers sit side by side in colorful plastic chairs scattered along the sidewalks. These very low chairs force everyone to be on the same level, creating a democratic equality where businessmen in suits share space with construction workers. There is no class division when you're bent over a bowl of pho at 6 in the morning. The tradition of eating on the street in Vietnam dates back centuries, when street vendors carried their ingredients and equipment in baskets hung from bamboo poles over their shoulders. They roamed the streets announcing their wares with characteristic cries that locals learned to recognize. Even today, with fixed stalls dominating, you can still find street vendors keeping this tradition alive, especially in the older neighborhoods of Hanoi and other historic cities. The concept of freshness is taken to extremes in Vietnam. Street food vendors wake up before dawn to go to the morning markets to buy the freshest ingredients of the day. Many prepare their broths starting at 3 in the morning, cooking for hours so that everything is ready when the first customers arrive. This dedication to freshness means that leftovers rarely exist. Each day starts from scratch with new ingredients and fresh preparations. The Vietnamese street food economy is fascinating and essential to understanding the country. It is estimated that over 80% of Vietnamese eat on the street at least once a day, and in large cities this number rises to almost 100%. This is not because there is a lack of restaurants or home kitchens, but because street food offers something that these other places cannot: authenticity, convenience, and flavor at prices that anyone can afford. A worker can eat well 3 times a day, spending less than $5. But the economic aspect goes beyond consumers. Street food employs millions of Vietnamese, from vendors to ingredient suppliers, the people who make the plastic chairs, and those who sell the utensils. It's a gigantic economic ecosystem that supports entire families. Many stalls are family businesses passed down through generations, with secret recipes kept under lock and key and techniques taught from mother to daughter over decades. The 2020 pandemic hit Vietnamese street food culture hard, with restrictions forcing stalls to close temporarily. But what happened was impressive. The population mobilized to support their favorite vendors, ordering delivery, donating money, and buying vouchers to use later. This response showed how street food is not just about business, it's about preserving a cultural heritage that defines Vietnamese identity. When restrictions were lifted, the stalls returned stronger than ever. Balance is the fundamental principle that guides all Vietnamese cuisine, deeply influenced by traditional Chinese medicine and the philosophy of yin and yang. Each dish seeks to harmonize the 5 elements: spicy, sour, bitter, salty, and sweet. Furthermore, they consider the hot and cold properties of foods, not in terms of temperature, but in how they affect the body. This is why you always find fresh herbs accompanying fried or fatty dishes. They balance and aid digestion. Vietnamese street food is also surprisingly healthy compared to fast food from other countries. The abundant use of fresh herbs, crisp vegetables, clear broths made from bones and lean meats creates meals that are nutritious without sacrificing flavor. Vietnamese people have one of the lowest obesity rates in Asia, and many attribute this to their diet based on balanced street food and reasonable portions. You leave satisfied, not stuffed and miserable. The future of Vietnamese street food faces interesting challenges. Cities like Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City are growing rapidly, with pressures mounting to modernize and more strictly regulate street food stalls. Some fear that excessive regulation could sterilize this vibrant culture, turning it into something clean and organized but soulless. Others argue that some modernization is necessary for public health reasons. The debate continues, but one thing is certain: the Vietnamese will fight fiercely to preserve this tradition that defines who they are. So, feeling hungry? I bet you're already searching for flights to Vietnam or somewhere else. You'll need to stop searching for a Vietnamese restaurant in your city. These 12 street foods are just the tip of the iceberg of Vietnamese culinary richness. Hundreds of other dishes await discovery. The beauty of Vietnamese street food lies in how it manages to be both simple and sophisticated, inexpensive and extraordinary, accessible and unforgettable. If you enjoyed this culinary journey through Vietnam, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more amazing facts about cultures from around the world. Turn on notifications because every week there's new content that will expand your mind and let you travel without leaving home. Leave a comment telling us which of these dishes you most want to try, or if you've already tried any of them, tell us about your experience. Share this video with that foodie friend who needs to discover these wonders. And if you have any questions about another country or culture you'd like us to explore, leave them below. I read all the comments. The next adventure could be exactly the one you suggested, so don't be shy. Thank you for staying until the end of this incredible gastronomic journey. Until the next video, and remember, the world is full of flavors waiting to be discovered, and you've just discovered 12 of the most special ones. Bye-bye.